Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to Mosaic with TJ Randolph, and this is our edition of Ladies Legacy. Shout out to El Wapo of the Beautiful Lies channel, who said, based on what me and Dani are doing, that we should call it, when we get together, Ladies Legacy or L Squared. So this is um, our episode of Ladies Legacy and what we're going to talk about today. I'm about to bring to the stage my lovely fruit, my daughter. Hi, Dan. I can't hear you.
I was muted.
How are you
Hey,
doing? How you doing, love?
good. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
You look fabulous.
Well, I'm representing today.
hmm
Today is OU Texas weekend. Whoop whoop.
Is it
And I am
really?
it is, and I am
Oh, snap.
representing. Okay, I'm
As
representing.
always.
Yes. So, hi, Lucky Marie. If you have a chance today, Lucky Marie, I would like for you to call in later so I can formally introduce you to Danielle, because she's been hearing about you forever. You know,
Indeed.
so couple. I want to, before we get into today's conversation, it's time for the announcements. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I said that I was going to talk about that on each broadcast for the month of October. Ladies, it's about saving the tatas and go get your mammogram. Uh, Talk to the ladies in your life that you love. Go get your mammogram. Again, find, if you can't remember when you want to do it, I recommend either I recommend first getting it during your birthday month, because that way you'll know for every year of life that you celebrate, you need to invest in that life by getting the tatas check. Okay. Part two, announcement number two, um, part two of cocktails and conversations with El Wapo of the Beautiful Lies channel is going to take place Monday. We had such a great time chatting, but we didn't get to everything. So we're going to do it. We're going to do a part two on Monday night. And next, I'm going to have in the coming weeks, I'm going to have My Vivid Life is going to come and join for cocktails and conversations. And then also Miss Melissa Berrien is going to join us for cocktails and conversations. So we just need to finalize the dates on that. So
Okay.
yeah, and so back to today, I am representing today is OU Texas Weekend. I am an OU Sooner. I'm alumni of OU University of Oklahoma, and I'm representing with my head wrap, my OU Sooner head wrap.
It's real cute.
Yeah,
You showing
I'm
out, ma.
representing, Boomer Sooner up in the house. So, um, I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about, and we're
Mm-hmm.
still going to talk about it. But Lucky sent me a clip
Okay.
that it was, I can't even put it in
Oh,
words.
is it
But
that
then
bad?
it's something that we need to talk about.
Oh, Lord.
And I didn't want to tell you about it because I wanted you to see, I wanted to get your reaction. But
Oh,
then I also
no.
saw it on O'Shea Duke Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
and he highlighted it. So again, shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. So what we want to talk about in what I want to talk about is before we get to the lies we tell ourselves portion, I want to talk about when women are out here, they're single, and some of them are not even single.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're approached by young men and for whatever reason they're not interested in getting to know them, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't know if you remember back when I lived in the first house I lived at when I moved here, and you were
Uh-huh.
staying with me, and there was these guys in the neighborhood that was driving
Yeah.
by, and they were, catcalling at you or whatever, and you spicy like your mom, but I told you, be careful how you turn them down,
Oh, yeah.
because the climate had started to change. Back when I was growing up, we were like, I'm not interested. And we
Mm-hmm.
could be a little bit more deliberate, okay? But now you can't be deliberate, because what
Yeah.
is happening is some men are taking it as a personal affront.
Mm-hmm.
They're stalking you,
Yep.
or they are assaulting you.
Yep.
And sometimes the worst case scenario, they are even killing women because they're not interested in them. So I know Kevin Samuels talks about women, we need to smile more. And I get it. Nothing, a smile is a hello in no matter what the language barrier is.
Mm-hmm.
However, when we are out and about, and if we're dealing, we are approached by a man or a group of men, smiling can be inviting, but it can also send the wrong message. So how do we leverage that? I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know how we leverage that, because again, you can smile at just being cordial and being pleasant, but then a young man or older man may think that smile is an invitation that you want to know them more, as opposed to just being friendly.
Well, you know how we are. I believe every woman should have a weapon of some sort. Every single one. Now, you don't have to have a gun, because not everybody can do that. I can't do that because I'm a little psycho. But mace, taser, knife, because you need protection and you're not always going. I mean, I'm married and there's still certain things that I don't do by myself.
Right,
Like,
right,
you don't see me pumping gas by myself at night. You don't
right,
see me going to the bank ATM by myself at night. I
Right.
barely do anything at night by myself. The most is maybe going to the grocery store. But even
Right.
then, I still don't do it at night because I'm a woman. I don't have all the protection that I need to have. My husband is my protection. So that's who I
Hmm.
am with. Like,
Yes.
so I don't do any of that. And I think women don't realize we are strong, but we're not physically stronger than a man.
Mm-mm.
If a man want to pick you up in his van, he gonna pick you up in his van, and there's very little you can do unless you are armed. And it's sad to say that, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth because I know someone who would go jogging at night. She may be 125 pounds with a wet t-shirt on, and I said, honey, I could run away with you. You need to not run away at night or run outside at night. I don't care if you with your friend. Your friend is only 130 pounds with a wet t-shirt on. Both of y'all need to not be running nowhere at night.
And it's so interesting because before I show the clip, in this climate of the manosphere, it is, we definitely want to talk about what women can do better to prepare themselves to meet that husband, but we can't forget or we can't leave out that there are things that women are dealing with now that they didn't have to deal with even just 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, Case in point, when you graduated from high school in 2012 and you were getting ready to go off to college, I was talking to you about things that, what I wanted you to be mindful of. We're speaking freely here. My daughter is married now, so this is,
Oh,
nothing graphic.
Lord.
But one of the things I talked about was, again, this was something that was just common knowledge. When
Mm-hmm.
I went to parties, like this is OU Texas weekend, boy party, I'm sorority, kicking it. But when we went to parties, me and my girls, my sorors, we went together
Mm-hmm.
and we left together.
Yeah. That was back then, though. That's the sad part. It's not
Yes.
like that no more.
So again, we're talking about this because again, for those of you who have young women in your lives, talk to them because here's the thing. Even though I was grown and on my own for many a years, when I was not in a relationship and I was out on a date or meeting someone or going somewhere that, out of town, I called my mother and let her know, Mom, I'm going here. This
Mm-hmm.
is the telephone number where I'm supposed to be going. And I'm gonna call you when I get there to let you know I made it. If you ain't heard from me, this is where I was going.
I mean, even with my current husband, I didn't know this man when I met him. I went somewhere that was public in the middle of the day. I'm like, I was not about to be caught up. Because, I mean, again, you don't know these people. So it's not to say that, oh, just assume everyone is horrible, but you need to put safeguards in place. Like, again,
Yes.
public places, middle of the day where there's plenty of witnesses. You wasn't catching me going on no walk in the park with no guy I just met. Why? So I can end up missing?
And here's the thing, we're talking about a change in the times because there was a time, growing up, high school, college, even as a young, professional in my 20s, it was nothing to invite a young man to pick you up at your house.
I
You
know.
can't do that anymore.
You
You
really
don't even
can't.
want to let them know where you're living until they pass the test that they're not crazy.
Exactly. The illegal sex market, 100%. Because I know
Yeah.
when I was just in college, again, I was in college, I graduated 2018. So it wasn't that long ago. Even from now, from when I was a freshman, which was in 2012, to now, sex trafficking has been so much more in the forefront that I didn't even see it coming. Because I have a younger cousin who I'm having to have these conversations with. I'm like, because girls also don't look out for their girls like they used to either. They will leave you at this party for some dude they just met. They will leave you. So it's like you have to know, how do I get my own Lyft and Uber? Where am I located? How soon can I get to someone if I need help? Who can I call? You have to have all these things thought out at 18. Because when I was 18, my girls rolled with me. We wasn't leaving each other. But girls nowadays, they don't have that same level of loyalty unless you've been rocking with them for years and years. Hopefully they have more, but it's just not the same. So it's like you have to be twice as prepared as even I was, and I'm just in my 20s.
And here's the thing, what the funk, you're absolutely correct, because sex trafficking is not exclusive to girls anymore.
It's
We
not.
have these fools out here that are, seeking young men, boys, you know, kidnapping them as well, selling them into the trafficking arena. Um, and one of the things, going back to what I told Danielle when she went to college, I said, listen, mommy's not stupid. I know that you're going to have relations at some point, because I was in college, I ain't stupid. I said, but if you're going to have relations, you do it in your room. You do
Hello.
it in your dorm room. Why? Because you don't want somebody recording you and you don't know it.
Yep.
And then they're selling that.
Yep.
So nobody, I said, listen, and here, parents, you got to have these tough conversations. Was I encouraging my daughter to have sex? No, but I ain't no fool.
Exactly.
I was in college. I had relations, you know, um, but we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have camera phones. We weren't thinking like that.
And nowadays, man, you can get caught doing everything. Even my generation, phones was coming out when we were kids. Now kids are born into phones. Like it's just like from the jump, they born with the Instagram because parents started Instagram for their kids. And I was just like, bruh. So like from the jump, they already being judged. Like
Yes.
instantly already, because again, that's why I don't even have my daughter a lot of places on my social media. You won't see too many of her. Like you won't really be able to gauge what age she is on purpose
Yeah.
because niggas are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they are crazy, and it's like my child she needs to be protected above anything else. I don't
Yeah.
care if y'all want to see her on social media. Come over, come see her. I don't care if that's what y'all looking for because at the end of the day, these people are crazy. They will geotag your location, find out where
Mm,
you live, show up, and take your kids. We live in a digital age, people. It doesn't matter how much screen time you don't give your kids. They can
yeah.
find you. And because of that, I don't play with that. I make sure all locations are taken off. If I add them, I add them in a different place at a different time. I am intentional about that kind of stuff because you just can't, even with this, you can't trust anyone to keep you safe other than yourself and your family.
Okay. So we're going to get into this clip. I want you all to look at this clip. I'm going to bring it up. Okay. Bring this clip
Oh,
up.
Lord. What does it say?
Broke Pookie follows a 50-year-old Bronx sister and almost breaks into her house.
Oh,
Let's
Lord.
check it out.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Jump. The partition of a clip that you saw earlier today is quite disturbing. And again, my heart goes out to many women who are experiencing things like this. I know Queen Naija, the artist, said that she was getting ready to get it done because creepy guys have been approaching her. And I think in this space, because this is the Black manosphere, uh, we've gotten to a point where women have kind of attacked. Some women have attacked Black men so much that when we see things like this in America, we know that it happens, but we don't talk about it as much. Kind of in response to how we've been dragged by certain sisters on the internet. But I want to say something. As black men, we have to be logical, and it's our duty to not be as petty as our counterparts sometimes in this and tell the truth, right? You see a sister who is 50 years old, from what we know, coming into a home, some guy is following her, and she barely gets inside the house before this idiot tries to come in there and do God knows what. All right? This is not right. This is not right. And I know we can say, well, this is what happens when but let's just be real. There's been a lot of things happening as of late where you have certain simps attacking women, you have simps following women, you have simps harassing women. And as black men, we know that guys out here do that. We can admit that, right? And I want to say something that is going to be very interesting right now. A lot of women don't understand how valuable it is to have men in your protection. And I want women to understand this in the world today. No matter if you don't want to be married, that's fine. If you haven't found somebody, that's fine too. But do you know that there are some cowards out there who are looking to prey on innocent women? We've seen several things happen in the New York City area where innocent women are trying to get groceries or trying to do things. Guys are attacking them and stuff like that. You know why? Because they feel like you're not attached to a man. Some of these cowards out here. So you're an easy target. Even I've seen this kind of behavior in Africa. I've seen it in Uganda. You see guys that will snatch women's phones, rob women, and just walk off. Not even run off, walk off. Because like if you try to do something to you, they'll beat you or something like that. Like it's real cowardice. And I want women to understand that a lot of us as black men, we do know that you women are being harassed. Okay, I'm not saying always that women don't, can make up things or lie about it, but I don't think you always, not tell the truth. It's true, right? And as much as the law works in America, as it compares to other places, like they got the guy on camera, but it would be too late. Thank God she had the foresight and the intelligence to close the door. Because what if he would have got into the house? Who knows what he would have did? And
Okay, so your reaction, Danielle.
I mean, the same thing I said before. It's definitely unfortunate. It's only by God's grace that she closed that door. Because you could tell by her interaction, she didn't know anyone was behind her. Because she closed the door, like sternly, but calmly. It wasn't like oh, someone's behind me, shut it real quick. It was like, oh, okay, here we go. Another day, close the door. And it was
See, I don't
within
think so.
when I looked at it, she didn't look frazzled. She didn't look. It looked like it was an every day to her, like another day. So it's not that she probably didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so she probably didn't expect him to run after her because she wasn't running. She wasn't looking like trying to find her keys real quick. She was just like, oh, okay, do. Like it just looked like normal to her based off her
I think she
interaction.
heard him coming behind her because toward the end, as she got in that door and closed it really fast, I think that she heard him coming behind her. Now JJ is suggesting that it wasn't random, that
No,
maybe they knew
definitely.
each other. You don't think it was random?
No.
You
No.
know,
I do not think it was random.
you think they knew each other?
Or he was stalking her. I
I
don't think
think
that
that,
was random at all.
you
No.
don't think he was just following her or following her?
I mean, Mom, we both have watched enough criminal shows to know they get these stories from somewhere. They say they're fiction, but they come from somewhere. And every story that involves stalking, it's not, oh, I saw her one time and had to find her where she lived. It's like, I saw her. Then I fantasized about her. Then I
Mm-hmm.
started dreaming about her. Then I started following her. Like, it's not a just, oh, I saw you on the street, I'm going to rob you. Like, that's not, I don't think it's that. It's not as random as it may seem.
You
Because he
know,
would have had to have known her enough to know there was no man there.
well,
Just
here's
to
the
just run
thing.
up, like it's kind of like, I think
Well,
he's known her.
what the funk made, he said she closed the door with a purpose, and I agree with that. I think even if she was not scared, she was cautious enough, and she may have heard him that he was coming behind her because she closed that door with a quickness.
Yeah, probably when she heard him running, I could see that. Probably just didn't know what's going on.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about because again, and shout out to Lucky Marie. She sent me this first before I saw it on O'Shea Duke Jackson, but also she sent me another story previously, not too long ago, about a man. I don't know, Lucky, if you're in the chat where it was. I think it may have been in Florida, but what happened was the man that I think that he was a custodial worker or maintenance man in the apartment community.
Oh, is that young lady?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
And he had been, she had been missing or whatever, and she was
Mm-hmm.
being nice to him. She wasn't leading him on, but he wanted her.
Yeah, and
And
it's sad. It's really like when I read that, I was like, my God.
yeah,
It was just so sad because again, she was just being nice, just trying to be friendly, and even when I was a single woman, I mean, for years. I mean, Mom, you knew I wouldn't even introduce you to guys I was talking to, and it wasn't because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want you to know where I lived. I don't know you.
hmm,
Like, I don't know. I already had trust issues with men to begin with, but even more so from a protection standpoint, I don't have any weapons. I'm strong, but I'm not strong enough to overpower you.
hmm,
Like, so I'm not about to sit here and put myself in a compromising situation with someone I don't know that well. And if I've known you for over a year or whatever, okay, I'm not going to be nearly as guarded. But it's like, I don't need some guy I just met knowing anything about me more than my first name because I don't know you.
in the Army, shout out to my veterans out there. Art the saying "Stay alert, stay alive."
Mm-hmm.
That has been in my memory bank since 1986 when I enlisted. Stay alert, stay alive. When I'm walking, I have my head on a swivel. I'm always looking around, you know, and I'm strapped straight up. I live in Texas. Uh,
Open carry.
I got a firearm in every room.
Oh yeah, and I don't blame you because again, like between security systems, between again, Kevon has the weapons for obvious reasons because I'm a little trigger happy, so he's probably pissed. I don't have a lethal weapon, but because I shoot first and ask questions later. That's just me. So I hear something pop out, like it's not gonna be a hesitation.
That's an
uh
interesting perspective. He said that he rang the bell.
huh.
His first instinct that it was her son that may have been kicked out, judging from the age. She's 50 and he appears to be in his
He
20s.
did appear younger, but I said because I'm like he didn't look like no 50s man.
No, she's in her 50s.
No, I'm just saying he didn't
Yeah,
look like he was in like he looked 20s 30s because the muscle definition.
right.
Like I was like okay, but even like still even so, regardless, it still was unsettling to see. So if the situation was that he knew her and it wasn't her son or whatever, still the fact that you running up on somebody, that's like a threat. Like that's
Yeah.
asking to get shot. Like you don't just run up on people like that.
And that's even worse if it is your child. But we'll talk about that on another.
Because
Let
I
me.
remember, what?
Huh? Go ahead.
No, because I even remember it was. I think it was out here during the holidays. Maybe like it wasn't last year, maybe the year before or so. That a guy got robbed at his front door, and the only
Yes,
reason they recorded it was because of his Ring alarm system, or
yes,
whatever.
I
And
remember
again, this is a
that.
grown man. Like he wasn't no little tiny thing. He was probably 40s, big guy, and got at gunpoint at his front door.
And that was here in Texas. And again, his family was right on the other side of the door.
Exactly.
So, so again, it's stay alert, stay alive. But Abolo's asking me to show this really quick again. So I'm going to show the first part. Um,
This is the reason. What's good, everybody? It's your boy.
so I don't know how to do slow mo. I don't know how to do that yet. You put too much pressure on me. Um, so it's just this is just a one illustration. But even with what he's talking about, the other young lady,
hmm
I guess the hip hop artist was saying that she felt like she needed to buy a gun. But the bottom line is, men and women, you got to stay alert, stay alive. And again, going back to the thing, I know when Kevin Samuels was talking about, women don't smile. Well, I can't speak for all women because I don't know why they don't.
A lot of
I'm a
women don't, and it's
yeah,
not, and it's so annoying. I'm sorry,
yeah.
um, because I mean, I smile at people, and I'm not over here like hi, but I'm just like, hey, how are you? Like, smile, general wave, just to show that I'm not a psycho, or
Mm-hmm,
But it's like I don't know. It's like I feel like single people. And again, I can't speak for a man because I'm not a man, but I just know
mm-hmm.
single women. It's like just because you smile at a guy doesn't mean he's trying to date you. I've had like legit great conversations with guys that never asked for my number
Mm-hmm.
ever. I was in a line at a grocery store. We're talking about food. It was like, but again, people read too much into stuff. It's like just be nice. Like if anything, it's a good practice for you, so you're not awkward when a guy does want to get your number.
Yeah. So question. So how would you go about it? Say, because again, it's not like it was when I was, not even when when I was in my 30s. You walk in a group. You're walking and you pass a group of guys or whatever, and they trying to you smile, say hello, and they say they ask you, well, hey, let me holler at you or let me get your numbers. What would you do? I mean, how would you
I mean, if I
deflect?
wasn't interested, I would like, oh no, thank you, but thank you so much.
But
It's
sometimes
not
even that can get you well, he says, well, fuck you then, bitch. What do you do?
okay. Okay. I mind the business that pays me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just me. Like I might be like, wow, okay, but I don't know you. What bills of mine do you pay? None. Oh, okay, then I'm not concerned.
Interesting that she said JJ, her mother taught her not to smile or laugh with me. And that's interesting because mine
Hmm.
didn't teach me that. And again,
Mm-mm.
it's funny because I've never met a stranger, and Danielle will tell you.
She's more
She
friendly than me.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I'm
know,
I just don't. I'm more introverted, so for me, I
mhm.
don't look for connections with people like that because I'm very content by myself. Like very content, always have been. But if someone does come my way, I'm not someone who's just like, ugh, don't look at me. I'm just like, oh, hey, hi, nice to meet you. And I just keep it going, but I don't really think that much into it.
Mhm. And again, I guess a smile is free. A hello is free. But again, just be mindful of your environment. And again, Lucky and I were talking one time, and she's like, well, what if you're saying hi, you're nice, and they keep following you. They keep following you. You said, or I'm in a relationship, because I don't know how many times I lied and said that.
Oh, I have several.
When I even used to wear a ring on my ring finger. I'm serious. Wear ring on my ring finger, but they keep following you, and they're, you're trying to be gracious, you're trying to be nice. What do you do then?
I mean, if you're in public, I act a fool. That's exactly what I do. He's following me. Help me. Oh, I'm crazy, bruh. I'll smooth do it.
But that could cost you your life.
If you cause enough attention, he ain't going, unless he got a gun and he willing to go to jail. He ain't gonna make it, because you have to do those kinds of things. That's why I'm like, don't be quiet. Draw attention to yourself, because most people who are that kind of stalker, they don't handle attention well. They'll be like, oh, they'll freak out. Like, it's awkward, because if you start screaming like a psychopath, they're gonna be like, oh, she's crazy, and they'll leave. And so you have to do, it's kind of like in like the animal kingdom, when you have to like freak out a bear and you try to look bigger than it to kind of calm it down. It's kind of like doing that. Like, you kind of just gotta look crazy to make yourself look bigger and make them feel smaller so that they run away. You shouldn't have to do that, but you can. Or shoot, act like you have a gun. What they gonna do? Check you? That's what I would do.
And again, if you're afraid, pepper spray.
Taser.
Bolo has taser. Bolo has an interesting perspective. He said, in a well-lit area, of course, or carry a small horn. I didn't think about that.
I didn't think about the horn, but that's a great way to get attention too.
Or a whistle. I remember we used to teach about a whistle.
Yeah, but I would definitely.
What's the point? He wants to see your scary face.
Nah. There's another time, man. There's another time. But like I said, I'm not saying that women, we can't do anything. I'm not saying, oh, never leave your house by yourself, never do things. But you have to use a different level of sense. Like, when I was single, I wasn't going out at night by myself anywhere, like, at all. Like, unless it was going to someone who I knew and it was an area that I knew and I felt safe in, you wouldn't see me going downtown Dallas by myself.
Bear spray. Okay. So, and again, we're speaking from the perspective of women, but
Yes.
We know men have to be careful too. Young men have to be careful. Young boys have to be careful, because a lot of times, particularly young men, because you are young men, you don't think you have to take such precautions because you're men. But there are some predators out there that can.
There's women predators, like, who will literally like try to, catfish you and say, "Oh yeah, let's meet up at this club. Let's go party. You meet at the club in a van over there." And you like, wait a minute, like, you have to be on your guard, which is why, like, I'm a day person. You don't really see me out at night unless I'm with my husband, and unless we're on a certain side of town. Just being honest. Like, if we're going out at night, it sounds very bougie, which it is. We're going to a certain caliber of restaurant, a certain caliber of neighborhood where cops are on a speed dial. That's where we go out at night. You ain't seeing us down South Dallas nowhere. You ain't seeing us on the east side nowhere. We are in the higher, caliber neighborhoods, because it's like, we want to feel safe. We want to low-key be the minority, like, where I feel safe. Because, like, I think someone in the comments said it, I was never harassed by white men. Never harassed by Asian men. I was generally harassed by black men. That was generally who I was harassed by. And no shade, I'm not saying anything about this bad being in black neighborhood. Nothing like that. But generally, me and my mom, we lived all over the country. Anytime I've had an issue, it was when we were in predominantly black neighborhoods, because that's where I was getting hollered at the most. So living in white neighborhoods, like where we live at, I don't have that problem. And I still have it.
Yeah, they're going to keep it real. And, I will say, when I was on active duty, again, because I was single, since 2002, and I was single and I had my daughter. A lot of times, all my military people out there, we get what they call BAH for housing. Um, a lot of times I would find places that was more expensive than my own housing allowance because I wanted to make sure if I was not home, my daughter felt safe. So a lot of times I would end up spending more money than, like I said, more money than my housing allowance because I needed to make sure that we were safe, but also more importantly, when I was not at home, that I could feel comfortable that she was safe by the surrounding area. Because,
Exactly.
again, you don't want to walk around in fear, but you want to, don't be a fool. Don't
Yeah.
be a fool. Don't be naive, because this world is changing on a daily basis. And again, like my daughter said, my niece is getting ready to go to college. The conversation that I had with Danielle before going to college is going to be completely different than the conversation, my sister's going to be having with my niece as she gets ready to graduate. Completely different.
It's scary how different it is, man. Like it's like because I have Michelle and I'm like, oh God, like I don't even want to. It's looking like, do you want to go to school? Can we just travel as a family?
Because I'm
Because
going to
it's
tell you
just so
something.
stressful, man. I'm just like, yo, like, and it's like you can't raise your daughters to be naive. You got to teach them this crap early because, like, social
Yes.
media now, it's not an addition to your life. It is life now. It
Mm,
wasn't when I was a kid, the internet and dial-up was a thing, then we progressed to, mainstream internet. Kids are born into high-speed internet. They're born into iPhones. Like, shoot, my daughter know how to already do stuff on my iPhone now. I'm like, can you not hang up my phone calls?
I
Like, she already has
know.
figured out, and she's 5 months old. So it's just like you have to pay attention that keeping them ignorant from technology isn't going to help them. You
Right.
need to you have to just guide them through it because it's like the way that they're trapping people now with between smart home technology,
Mm,
between hacking your screens, like you
mm.
have to teach your kids this stuff because it's so terrifyingly easy to
Yep.
find you. Terrifyingly.
We are about to switch gears and talk to another subject of today, the primary subject. And I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to discuss it. I want to tell you right now, it's not going to be an easy topic for me to discuss. It's not going to be an easy topic for you to hear. It's not going to be, it's not about bashing men, because what I'm going to talk about is applicable to men and women. Okay. And the title of this discussion was initially the lies we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The lies we tell ourselves uh, about and how we justify staying in relationships that we know are not good for us. We justify it. So we're going to get into it right now. And I need you to get the likes up. Okay, Lucky said, oh, Lucky said,
Ah.
you were Lucky. Yes.
Basically.
She said to me, we talked the other day, she said, I was getting jealous. Other people were calling you Auntie. You're my auntie.
That's so
Okay.
funny.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're about to talk about it. I've been putting this off for a couple of weeks.
Oh, we're having that conversation.
We're
Okay.
having that conversation. You see, I'm rubbing my hands, about to get, the peanut is about to get chewy. Okay.
Oh my. Okay.
How many of you have been in relationships, or you met someone within that relationship, you knew maybe within the first couple of meetings, you shouldn't have been with them. You knew in the first couple of meetings, maybe on the first meeting, this ain't the girl or this ain't the guy for me. But you overlooked it like, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Mm.
Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe
Mm-mm.
maybe I'm reading too much. How many of you have
Oof.
done that?
Lord, me for sure. Definitely when I
Okay.
was younger, for sure.
How many of you, for us modern women or former modern women such as myself, know that you have a dominant personality largely because, again, like I talked about, you were either the oldest, raised by a single mom, you were a single mom yourself. Quit, I'm not rubbing my hands like Birdman. you know, so you were in the military or you were in a dominant position in your career. And so you knew that you had like this dominant personality, okay? And you knew that in previous relationships, because you were a dominant personality, you had a tendency, specifically women. Now, men are supposed to dominate. But as far as women, you knew that sometimes you could kind of run over men. Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah. So when I met this person that we're going to talk about right now, I'm not going to talk about his name, but I knew within the first meeting, our first meeting,
Seriously? You knew?
I did. I should have known. And I mean by that because the red flags were in my face. I'll give you an example. We met online, and the reason and it wasn't the same site that I met my husband on, but the reason why I went on this particular site, and I'll just be honest, it was Black People Meet. The reason why I went on this particular site because a friend and coworker had just met her husband on there, and they had been together, and they're still together. And I said, well, gosh, if she had a good result, maybe I will too.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to the site, interacted, found this person. We exchanged, communications. We agreed to meet in public. We met at a public park, talking, walking, on the path, talking. It was a populated area. But this person was shall we say, a music enthusiast, and wanted to show me his sound system in his car. Now that should have been my first red flag because who gives a damn? We're in our 50s. No, actually, I hadn't turned 50 yet. I was 49. But who gives a damn about a sound system as a woman? But so we're listening, and we're in this park. And let me tell you, this park is a very prestigious park where in a neighborhood that's very affluent, very affluent. This person cranks up the sound so freaking loud to show me his sound system. And, I'm bougie. I was embarrassed. And I said, would you mind turning that down a little bit? And
Oh,
he
shit.
said something snarky to me or whatever. Um, so that should have been the clue right then.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I should have took off, and this was the first meeting. I should have took off in the opposite direction. I didn't. I didn't. So we continue to go out a couple of times. Uh, decent enough, you know. Again, I'm trying to be outside of my comfort zone because, like many of us ladies, I have my list of things that I was looking for. Okay, I have my
Mm-hmm.
list. So scrap the list, ladies. Um, so I go to California to see my dad for Thanksgiving. We're having a lot of conversation. The guy and he calling, showing interest. I'm flattered. I'm flattered. We're continuing to communicate. So when I get back home, we're dating, we're going out, but there's something about his demeanor, because I know I can have a tendency to be kind of quick-witted. But what was happening, this individual was shutting me down really quickly. Now, again, the lies we tell ourselves, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this guy, I've met my match with this guy. He's not going to let me just be snarky or, quick. So in my mind, I'm justifying. That I have met my match. This is a guy that's not going to let me run over him. Because again, I know what kind of personality I am. So this is how I'm justifying it. Red flags right up in my face, not paying attention to them. There's a particular, and I'm talking to one of my best friends, and she's not saying them, but she's paying attention to all this, your Auntie Tracy. And this time, one time in particular, we're going to church. And this would have to be within a couple of months of us dating. We're going to church. Now, my daughter knows that I get very nervous when I'm on the passenger side of a car and I'm not driving because of that accident I had when we were in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a post-traumatic stress thing for me because, again, any sudden moves, it makes me really nervous because I had a really bad accident and I was on the passenger side when this happened. So anytime I'm in a car, I'm on the passenger, I get really nervous if there are any sudden moves, certain stops. And I told this gentleman, I told this individual that because he had the tendency to drive really fast and in and out. So I'm giving him directions about how to get to this church because he had never been there before. I already told him that I'm really nervous when he does these things, but he's continuing to do them anyway on the way to church. I'm frazzled. By the time we get to church, I am just nervous, but I am livid. Okay. He comes around to open my door, but I get out anyway because I'm mad. I walk into the church. This individual in the church now, I don't know if I ever told you this. Danielle's looking pissed. He hems me up on the wall inside the church and says something to the effect, I'm a man and I don't need you to direct me in traffic and this, that, and the other. I'll do whatever I want. I know this. Do you understand? And I said, yes. Now, can we go in church so I don't have to, and I don't have to deal with your fucking attitude? In the church. In the church.
It wasn't any of that. I said it wasn't none of that. I ain't like him from the jump.
We haven't even got to the good part yet. Okay, so he says, what made me look over my spidey senses? Insecurity. Loneliness and insecurity and brokenness that was not healed because it wasn't his swag. It wasn't his money.
He ain't have none.
He didn't have none of that.
He was a broke, busted, disgusted, shoulda, coulda, woulda type ninja.
Yes.
Disgusted.
So it was loneliness. It was a wound that had not been healed. I was insecure because I had relationships that hadn't worked out and I was lonely. And let's be honest, I was desperate.
Oh no, he seriously had issues in Mills. Like on site, I would have gone to jail. By the grace of God, I did.
It wasn't even his issues though. It was mine because even with the red flags, and I'm telling you this, men and women. I'm telling you from my story because I'm a woman, but this crap can happen to men too because we overlook stuff. So I overlooked it.
And she wasn't listening to anyone because we all saw it.
The first time,
all of us.
And I'm thinking, okay, this again, the justification is he's just not going to let me run over him. But it was about, it was so much more than that. But again, what we tell ourselves. So let's keep it moving, shall we? With all these red signs, red flags, it gets worse. He got sick. He was renting a room, had roommates or whatever. So he had lost his job because he had gotten sick. And because I had a 3-bedroom home that I was renting, I said that, until get back on your feet, you can stay at my house and have, use one of the rooms at my house until you get on your feet. That was a mistake. That must have been a mistake. I don't know what that means. Oh man. So it was a mistake. So let's fast forward to Christmas of that year. Christmas that would have been 2016.
I forget. Remember.
Yeah, 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016. So Christmas is at our house, or at my house, shall I say. Again, he hadn't seen his son for a while. So I wanted to be, encouraging and supportive. So I paid for his son to come for Christmas. I don't know if I told you that, Danielle.
Probably did, but again, I was kind of separated from you at that point, so I don't remember a lot because I couldn't sign off on the foolishness.
So I had paid for his son to come visit for Christmas. Again, because I've never been a woman to, turn my nose up at the working class or the average man. And again, I'm thinking I'm being supportive. I'm being this dutiful woman, and I'm doing these things. So I brought his son down, had a great time, or so I thought. At one point, I must have said something that he didn't like. I don't know.
With the son?
No, that person.
Oh, him. Okay.
Because his son wasn't feeling well. And so his son went to lay down in my room, the master, because, in the master room, because we were sleeping together in a relationship. But at any rate, so he got, and then I think mommy was there. So all the other guest rooms were taken. So that's why his son, went to sleep in my room. But at any rate, he does this to me. And he wants me to go into the room, but because his son is in there, we go into my closet. Because, my closet was big. And he basically reprimands me because I said something that made him look bad or something like that. He's up in my face like this. So, and this was around Christmas time. So I get it together or whatever. And I'm sharing this for a reason that we're going to get to in a minute. So just bear with me as I share this story, because the red flags are abounding. You understand me? The red flags are abounding, and I was in a sunken place. That's a good way to say it. So the red flags are abounding. I'm not paying attention. There was a guy I used to date. We didn't work out, but we were cordial. And what this person would do for Christmas, he would always make flavored moonshine and give it, out as gifts for Christmas. And I remembered that he didn't. So he made one and he just dropped it off. He didn't knock on the door. He dropped it off at the front door, and I saw it later or something like that. And he said, "Merry Christmas." So when he saw that, he said, and he got really up in arms about it. Really up in arms, I'm not going to have this, I feel like he's threatening my family and this, that, and the other. And stupid me, again, how we justify it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's so protective of me. He really cares about me. He is so protective of me. Hey, truth teller, I'm gonna get to you. I want to tell this story, but if you gotta go, we can do it later. But I'm in the middle of this story, but I definitely want to discuss this with you. Um, he's so protective of me. Okay, red flags, ladies, gentlemen. Fast forward. I want to work out. I want to get in shape. He's in good physical condition. He was a personal trainer. So we go to the gym. He's trying to show me how to do these things. But I want to work, I'm doing cardio. So I'm doing the spin classes. And every so often I would see him peek his head in there while I was doing the spin classes or walk in and I'm like, this, he really cares about me. He's really just, showing me attention, blah, blah, blah. That's how I'm rationalizing it. Then we get to the part I'm finished with my spin class. And then he shows me how to do the weights and stuff like that. Well, I didn't like, what he was doing or how he was talking to me. Well, I talk to my clients like this. I said, well, I'm not your client. And then he would just be more aggressive, more loud and boisterous. And I'm feeling like a kid because it's embarrassing to me, the way that he's talking to me in public. It's happening, but I don't realize what's happening yet. So fast forward, we're moving forward. This is around, my mom comes to visit. She ain't feeling him at all. My nephew, who plays the saxophone, whose music you hear at the beginning of the broadcast, he never met a stranger. He likes everybody. He ain't feeling him. Nobody ain't feeling him. I'm in a higher level executive position in the federal government. I'm going to work. My boss was a mentor to me. He calls me into his office and we're talking about my mid-year review. And he says, Terry, you're shrinking. And I said, thank you, sir. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm doing this. He said, Terry, that's not what I'm talking about. I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's a change in you. He says, you're not the confident, outgoing person, and I don't know, something is going on. And I said, I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. So what's happening is I'm showing something, but I didn't, people are seeing something in me that I didn't know that I was showing. Danielle, what did you see in me over this time?
You weren't yourself in any way, and I was pissed. I'm like, who is this woman?
What do you mean?
You were weak. And I had never seen that before, and I was pissed. I'm like, who is the person who's replaced my mother? Who is this? Not even meek, like broken, hollow, quiet, sad person. Who is this? Who is this that don't bark back? Who is this that just takes it? I ain't never seen you just take it from nobody. Ever. And I'm like, who is this? Who the hell does he think he is? To break her like this. Oh God, I would have put my hands on.
But here's the thing. Again, the lies we tell ourselves, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, dang.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Are you there?
So bad.
My internet went out.
Oh.
Okay.
There you go.
So I'm like, this man is just not going to let me walk over him.
No, man.
That's what I'm thinking to myself.
And you had it bad, Ma. You was convinced. And this made it worse. He wasn't even attractive. He ain't had no money. He literally had nothing to offer you. Like, it would have been a little bit more justified with your decision if he like, oh, okay, he at least took care of the bills. Or, oh, okay, he at least has a good career. This nigga dad had no job. He had a busted car. No money, no prospects, nothing. He was a waste of space.
And because again, my background in the federal government, even before the federal government, I would help people transition from military career to civilian career. So I would help people. I would do resume writing, those kind of career skills. And so I knew that he was he had lost his job. So I'm helping him look for other jobs. But I also did his resume for him because, again, that's my forte. So again, being supportive, and he would go on job, interviews and so forth and so on. But there are other things I'm seeing, but I'm not paying attention to.
And we all saw it, y'all.
Or I'm
We all
justifying
saw it.
I'm
And
justifying.
this is where, just so you know where we all stood, it got to the point that I just shut you out. And it's not that I shut you out with the sense that if you called me, I wasn't going to answer. But seeing you choose this level of pain was painful for me. And I couldn't deal with it anymore. Because you were so gung-ho for this nigga that it was like, I was like, who are you? Who are you? Like, I've seen the ninjas you dated. None of them have been this bad. Like, I was just like, I can't do it, man. Like, because you want to get mad at me for calling you out on your BS, which is complete BS. Want to, hoop and hide me, but this nigga who just been over here for a hot few months, you like, oh, yes, dear. Oh, whatever you say, babe. Are you kidding me? That was the hardest time in my life dealing with you. Because I just wanted to, like, shake you. Wake up. Who are you? What happened to Terry Jones? Who are you? Like, and it's like that type of stuff where it was unbearable to be like, because, you didn't say, but I had planned a surprise birthday for you that year because you had been through so much. And I'm like, this is, for y'all that don't know, I'm really good at surprising my mom with surprise parties. Like, I'm really good at it. She never sees it coming. So it was her 50th. And I was like, okay, let me basically use the village around me. I got my mom's friend who had a house with a nice kitchen. I was cooking there. Had my friends who are personal chefs. We had the whole nine, y'all. And let me tell y'all how I was so angry at you for such a long time when you said this. So again, I'm spending money I don't have. I'm in college, y'all. So every little dollar I got count. Like, I even had my dad help me throw this thing. Like, that's how much I was really putting in the effort. So I, whole spread, had her coworkers there, her friends had people. We were planning, coordinating everything. So she come in, my mama was there, planned it, had her out of the house all day. So the house is full of people, y'all. I have the best food you could get. When she came in this house and had the nerve to ask that nigga, oh, did you plan this for me? I wanted to punch her. Maybe that wake up. Because I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Let me tell you how much of a waste of space he was. He didn't even shower until 20 minutes before she was supposed to be there. Now, mind you, we had been cooking all night the night before and finishing prep the day of. He did nothing. Nothing. But she was so sprung, she went to that guy and said, you must have planned this for me. Not me. Not the one who surprises her every few years. That ninja. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm done. I was like, I can't do it, bro. I can't do it. I said, that was the last straw for me. Because whatever he doing for her, it's got to be the best thing in the world for her to go to him first. That's when I knew I lost it. And I couldn't do it no more. It was like, that was the final nail in the coffin for me. Because I have a certain level of capacity I can do to watch others in pain. And when I'm at that capacity, I have to step out. Because it starts to cripple me now. Because I want better for you, but you don't think you deserve better because you settle for that.
And here's the thing. He was giving me nothing.
Nothing, y'all.
He was giving me nothing, and I wasn't sprung. It was that I wanted to believe and I wanted to be in a relationship so bad. I was so lonely. I was accepting shit.
And that's exactly, and I think, in my opinion, I never said this to you, but I think it's when I met Kevon and you saw me moving on, your whole world, is when you got more desperate.
I can accept that.
Because
I can
I think it was, for me, y'all, I'm not the kind that, I was never the type of child that just did whatever her parents told her to do. Within reason, obviously if I was supposed to do my chores, I did my chores, but like, I was never someone that just because you didn't like a decision I made, I wasn't going to stop doing it. I was just never that type. So I got some fun for me for the shell later. But so for me, I didn't care if it made my mom uncomfortable that I was dating. So it's not my problem. So I knew part of her was feeling like I'm losing the last thing I have control over. And that's when I think you got to a point where you're like, well, I just got to get somebody because my daughter's moving on. Goodness gracious. Now, the last thing I have is gone.
Yeah, I mean, again, for women who are single mothers or whether you're divorced, never been married, and you make your children your lives, it's a process of rediscovery and you lose yourself. But let me continue with the story because I don't want to, because it ain't got to the best part yet. And the best part means the most sad part. Okay, so my birthday is on May 22nd. But on May 21st, my friends I was telling you about that met her husband on blackpeoplemeet.com, their wedding was the day before my birthday party. And we were going to the wedding and he was malingering. He knew what time we were supposed to be there. He knew because I was supposed to be there at a certain time. He was malingering. He waited until the very last minute to get dressed. And so again, that means what? We have to rush to get there, which means what? He's driving erratically. I'm nervous. I'm scared because I'm anxious, again, not caring. We get to the wedding. I'm pissed. So then the next day is my surprise party. And I guess, I didn't ask, did he do it? I asked, did he help you with it? But you like, hell no, he didn't help do anything. And part of me wanted to believe, again, I'm justifying in my mind, people, listen to me now, wanting to believe that he cared for me, wanting to believe that he would do something for me because I had been doing everything for him at this point. Everything, because he had no job, no consistent income. So I'm doing everything. So I'm thinking, he wants to do something for me. So my birthday's on the 22nd. My brother came from California on the 23rd of May. Which I brought him from California to help him to save his life. But he ended up saving mine. By this time, it's getting bad. This is after Memorial Day. It's getting worse. I'm getting I'm getting fed up. And I said, I think, but my brother is telling me that this individual because my brother's going to the gym with him. And my brother's telling me that he's talking disparagingly about me as if he didn't think my brother would tell me. And so I'm paying and I'm going to him. And then he wants to buck up to my brother. Well, then I get a text from one of my girlfriends. Who is this? Who's in the picture with M? I said, what are you talking about? He posted a picture on Facebook with him and this girl in a car. And I said, because by this time we had, said, we're going our separate ways. He's staying in the guest room or whatever. And I go look for this picture and I don't see it because we were Facebook friends, but I don't see the picture. The last picture I see is when we're at, we have this gathering at my house for Memorial Day. And so I asked my girlfriend to send me the picture and she takes a snapshot and sends it to me. Well, sure enough, it's some woman in the car with him. And so I said, who is this? And he said, my friend so and so. I said, I didn't see this. He said, well, I unfriended you. I said, okay, well, then you go stay with her. I said, you go live in her house. Because it's obvious you have a place to live. Get out. I'm not going anywhere. I said, oh, yeah, you are. So I called the police. Guess what they tell me?
Nothing they can do.
There was nothing they could do because I had allowed him to live there.
Yep.
That I said, even though I'm paying for everything, the lease is in my name. They said, I'm sorry, ma'am, there's nothing we can do. You need to serve him with eviction papers and give him a 30-day notice because there's nothing we can do. I was beside myself. Now, mind you, I had never been in a position that I had to call the police to my home for anything. Ever. Not just this house, but any place I've ever lived. I dealt with that kind of stuff growing up. And I made sure that my daughter would never see that. So I had no idea. So again, my brother's there. So I write up a 30-day notice to vacate. I have my brother serve it to him. So during this time, this is June, so from June to July, I felt like a prisoner in my own house. I was afraid in my own house because let me back it up. Remember, I told you that he had rented a room with these people, and so I remember going through some stuff, cleaning out stuff, and I found what looked to be a crack pipe.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I called the police because I wanted him to leave, and he said he wasn't going to leave. So again, in my naivete, I'm thinking that because the lease is in my name, everything is in my name, that if I called the police, they would make him leave. And I found out that they wouldn't, that I had to go through the process of evicting him. But again, backpedaling, I found what I thought was a crack pipe. And of course, I asked him about it. And he said, I don't do drugs. That must have been somebody that, other people in the house, we all kept our stuff in the same garage. Somebody must have put it in my things. So I believed it. So during this time, because I've served him, the tension is high. We're living our own lives, but I'm feeling like a prisoner in my own home. I'm closing my bedroom door at night. I'm locking the door in my own home. My brother's there, thank God. I happen to go into the room where this person is staying in my guest room. It is as if it's out of an episode of Hoarders. I can't see the floor because shit is everywhere. How did I get here? I'm asking myself. I got there because the signs were there from day one, and I chose to ignore them. Fast forward to July 16th, 1997. This is on a Sunday. The 30 days is up.
2017. Sorry, you said 97. I was like, wait.
Oh yeah, 2017. I'm sorry. The lease is, the 30 days is up. He had been moving stuff the night before, so most of it was gone. He comes to me that night before, accusing me of taking or discarding things that belonged to his parents that were both deceased. I told him I did not do that. I would never do that. And he says, you know, I can't find it. If I can't find my parents' stuff, I'm not giving you your key. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was nervous. First thing that next morning, I go to the garage and I'm on a mission to find whatever he said that he couldn't find. And I found it. I told my brother, I said, here's what he's looking for. Tell him what he's looking, because by this time we're not even talking. Because again, every time he talks to me is very aggressive, very in my face, very like he's trying to provoke something. And this is, and I didn't share this part. He had called me out of my name several times before we got to this point. So I tell my brother, I said, here's the plan. If he gets his stuff and leaves by 12 o'clock, I will, no problem. I said, but if he's not, because by this time he's behind closed doors too in the guest room. And I said, brother, at 12 o'clock, I'm going to knock on the door and ask him to get his stuff and leave. So 12 o'clock comes, I knock on the door. He's laying on the floor on one of my couch cushions, and he's laying underneath the blanket that Lydia made for you.
Wow. You got balls of steel.
Lydia, as I shared with you, was my ex-husband's girlfriend who loved my child, and it was like a stepmother to her. So he's laying on the floor in the room under the blanket that was made for my child. And I said, and again, I'm lying, but I want to get him out. And I said, I found the things that you were looking for, and they're in the garage. I really, when are you going to be leaving? Because I need to get in this room to clean it out because I have, relatives coming to visit. That was a lie, but that's what I was going, because I wanted to get him out. He says, well, I would have been gone last night if you didn't move my stuff and this, that, and the other. I said, I didn't move your stuff. I said, I didn't move your stuff, and I would never do that. Well, you've been talking so much shit, and you were talking all this shit in front of your mom, making fun of me. He's going back to something that happened in May. You were laughing when your mom made that comment. And I said, would you just go, please? Will you just, would you just go? I'll go when I'm good and damn ready. So I said, no, you're going right now. So I pulled the blanket because it was mine. It belonged to my child. And I pulled the blanket off of him. And he yanked it back. And I said, this is mine. I said, this is mine. And then from that moment, all I remember was him grabbing me and throwing me down. And I screamed. And when I screamed, Bradley, our dog, ran into where my brother was staying, and my brother came in and pushed him off me. Said, get the fuck off my sister. I don't remember everything else, but this is what I'm going to show you. Did you ever see the pictures, Danielle?
I don't think so.
The adrenaline was so serious. I didn't even realize I was hurt. I didn't even realize I was injured.
And just so y'all know about this individual, I had moved out when he moved in, basically. So yes. I wasn't there, because this is how he was a weak man, because he never acted like that when I was around. Definitely not when my boyfriend at the time was around, my husband now. So he knew to target her because he was on his best behavior when I was there, because he knew better. He wasn't that stupid, because you would have thought they were great, because he never cussed when I was there. He never yelled when I was there. None of it. Because he knew I would have threw hands. Like, because I don't fight fair. Definitely not when it comes to my mother. So he was like, he was lucky. I wasn't there. That he's still breathing.
Okay, I'm going to show you some pictures here. And it's not going to be easy to see. Here we go. Here's the first one.
Is that your arm? Or what is that?
That is my leg, my knee.
Oh, your leg. Okay. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
This is my arm. It's my leg. Underneath another arm. My knee. So called the police. And the police got there. And my brother said, "You're going to jail, bruh." But the thing about it, he had called the police. He had called the police while he was, soon as things happened. But he said that that when the police got there, my brother said, "You're going to jail because she's obviously injured." I'm going to get to the accountability, Mr. Truth Teller. And let's be clear. You said you don't understand the point of showing if that is being
Mom,
walked past.
calm down. He doesn't know you.
No,
So
he doesn't.
before you
Okay.
go there, calm down. They don't know you. They don't know me. They ain't never met us.
Yeah.
So do not entertain someone who does not know. They are coming from a place of ignorance because they do not know. They were not there through the whole process of you from the front or the beginning. They're hearing a snippet of the full scope. Do not entertain until you explain. And if they still choose to be ignorant, let them choose to be so.
Thank you, my truth. So the police came. It was evident I was injured. My lip was busted. I didn't have a picture of that. My lip was busted. And the police asked me if I wanted to file a police report. And initially I said, yes, I did. But here's the thing. He had just started another job about a week or two prior.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, to do a police report, we'll have to take him into custody. And I told my brother I was afraid. I was afraid to file a police report. Well, to press charges, not file a police report, to press charges, because if I was to press charges and get a restraining order, because in order to get a restraining order, I would have had to press charges. And I was afraid that if I would have pressed charges, he would have lost his job and came back and blamed me for it and came back and hurt me. I was afraid. So I said, if he gets all of his stuff and leaves now and gives me my key, I won't press charges. So the police was there, made sure he got all his stuff and left then. He was malingering to the point that the police even noticed that, bro, you've been taking too much time. You need to go. He left. So that's a Sunday. On Monday, I call into my job. because the bruises were evident. I called into my job and said I wouldn't be there. Tuesday comes, I go to work, and my job, again, I'm a senior leadership, I'm a senior level person with the federal government, and my job was, human resources. But the day before, on that Monday, one of the employees had fallen dead at work, had had a heart attack and died at work. So when I go to work on Tuesday, part of my job is to coordinate with EAP to have a counselor or come in to help the employees get through their grief. And as we're talking about it, it just hit me hard. And it hit me hard because I realized that had my brother not been there to help me, I could have died that day. Because there's no way I would have beaten him. There's no way. I lost it, and I went on leave, and I was off work for about 2.5 months to get my head together, to get to the root of why I didn't pay attention to the red flags. Because they were clearly there. They were clearly there. But I ignored them. And I'm sharing this because men and women, we see the red flags and we ignore them. We justify them. I justified and said, oh, this is just a man that's just not going to let me run over him. But what was happening? He was isolating me from my family. Because anybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge entertainer. I have guests at my house all the time for birthday parties, Christmas parties, all these things. But he had systematically, or I had allowed him to systematically separate me from my friends and my family. I had allowed him to systematically beat me down to my self-esteem was at an all-time low. I was second guessing myself. I was so afraid. I would go to the gym and sometimes he would be in there and I would just have a panic attack and leave. I was afraid all the time, even after that. I was afraid that he would find out, because I had moved by this time. I was afraid that he would find out where I lived. And here's the thing, the red flags. After he got his stuff out, I go into the room where he was. He had in the vents, he had put tissue paper in the vents. Why? He was smoking crack in my house. The signs were there. That was part of the erratic behavior and aggression he was showing me. But I had allowed myself to believe what I knew wasn't true. So the accountability, sir, is that I didn't trust myself. Men and women, we don't trust ourselves. We, again, like what the funk said, I ignored the spidey senses. I justified this man is just not going to let me run over him, but he was mistreating me.
And what made it worse is that even when she didn't have the spidey senses, we all did. And what made me mad at her at the time is that you got all this bark to us, but ain't got none for that nigga. Not a bite, not even a little bit. Like, cause think about how she was even talking to him. Like, can you please? I was like, my mama don't please nobody. Get out. Ain't no please here. And it was like she was a night and day different person. Because I tried to tell her, yelled at me. Her mother tried to tell her, yelled at her, cut her off. You just don't want me to be happy. What? And when I say everybody, I mean her best friends of over 20 years telling her, sister telling her, I'm sure co-workers telling her, everybody. And she ignored us all. Yelled at us, ostracized us to the point of no end. And it was so disheartening. And for someone who's on the, like, for anyone who knows people who are in these situations, all you can really do is pray, man. Because that's all I could do. That's all I could do. And I believe my prayer is what kept her alive. Because she refused to listen to reason. Refused.
And it was so jarring because my father is gangster. My biological father and my stepfather. They both wanted to come down here, and I said, don't, because I was afraid for them. I was afraid that if they came, because my dads are in their 70s, I was afraid that if they did something, they would go to jail or they
I
would
was
be hurt.
willing. I was willing to go to
I
jail.
was
When I found
afraid.
out, I was like, where he at?
I was
I gotta.
afraid for my father. And again, to hear the anguish in my parents' voice. And I'm 50 years old. To feel such anguish and helplessness, to not be able to do anything to help your kid get out of something. So I'm sharing this because, again, it goes back to the title, the lies we tell ourselves, how we justify staying in things or getting into things that we know is not good for us. Because I shared with you how we met. That should have been, that's it. But I ignored it. Willful ignorance. And it could have cost me my life. It definitely cost me emotional scars because I still have that scar on my knee to this day and will probably always have it. But the emotional scars were far reaching. And I had to really do a deep dive. And I went into some very intense therapy. Like I said, I was off work for like 2 months to try to get my head right, to find out why do I keep finding these broken people? Well, I was finding broken people because I was broken. That's just the bottom line. I was broken. So I'm sharing this with you, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to your spidey senses, but also when your loved ones say something to you, it's because they can see something you can't.
Because it's one thing if it was
Even my
just,
supervisor. Go ahead.
like I said, it's one thing if it's just one family member. Because I understand there are some people in your life who do just not want you to be happy. So I'm not saying that you have to listen to that every single person, but pay attention if it's everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean people who don't even live with you. Like she just said, her supervisor. That's when it's a serious problem. Then you need to really reflect. Because if it's like someone, your cousin and them who don't even like you anyway, okay, you don't gotta listen to them. But if it's your mother or your father or your sister, or even if you want to X them out, if it's your best friends, like it's too deep now. And if you get to the point that you won't listen to anybody, then you can't be helped. And then now you're really stuck. You don't want to get to that point.
Here's the thing also. I'm going to say the Holy Spirit, God was protecting me. And I'm going to tell you something. I lived in that house before that person came to live with me for a couple of years. And it was after he was there and things had gotten bad. I remember going to work and that individual called me and told me that there was a snake in my house. And it had crawled into the room where he was. Well, I didn't believe it because, again, I had lived there for years and there was no snake in my house ever. So when this person went to work, because he said that he had to go to work, and I said, well, did you get it out? He says, well, I sprayed it with something. I forget what he said. And so when he left to go to work, I asked my brother to go in there and see if he could find the snake. Well, I thought, he was just bull crapping. Because when I came home, I was looking for it, couldn't find the snake either. After that individual moved out, after the police escorted him out, and I'm cleaning up what's left of his stuff in that room, I found the snake that was dried up in that closet. And I said, that was God. It was a literal and figurative snake in my house. And it had crawled into the room where he was staying. That chilled me. That chilled me because, like I said, I lived in that house several years before he came. And the fact that when an actual snake was in my house, it had crawled into the room where he was.
Yeah, he was just a human demonic presence, which is why, like, because again, I'm a very serious, God-fearing woman. I don't play about that type of stuff. I don't do all that other stuff. And spirits respond to order, and they live in dysfunction. There's a reason the spirit in him wouldn't come out when I was around, because it knew better. Because I would have eradicated that. I don't play that. I don't play it at all. So it lived in dysfunction with you because you weren't in order internally. Spiritually, you were out of line in every way. So it allowed that foolishness because you weren't in tune with yourself spiritually and emotionally.
Moreover, the spidey senses, I would have been able to save myself. First of all, if I would have just paid attention to the signs first thing. But there was something else I could have done. I could have done a background check on him.
Facts.
Because since then, within the last several months, I was on YouTube and I saw an advertisement called Been Verified. And I said, well, let me just punch in this individual's information to see what comes up. He had been arrested not once, not twice, but more than a couple of times for drug possession. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He had been arrested for assault of a woman. So if I would have done that.
But see, Ma, that's
I was
something.
going to save myself.
That's where I talk about the spirituality part is important because you see it now because you come into revelation. Mm-hmm. But we as women must pray for discernment.
And
discernment. Men. Is discernment. Because our flesh, our human selves cannot see the spiritual aspects of people. We can't. Right. It's not possible. Because we lead with lust. We lead with our feelings. We lead naturally with our own selfish desires. So for us to see someone who they are, we must pray. Pray for wisdom. Pray for discernment. Pray for, revelation so that we see things that we can't see in the outward man. I mean, it's in the Bible that, I think it was, forgive me if I quote the prophet wrong, but when he went to go crown King David, I think it was the prophet Samuel or something like that. I could say it wrong. But basically, he was going to all the man's sons that were attractive, physically statured, going to each one of them like, oh, this must be the king. Oh, this must be the king because he looks like a king. But God said, I look in the inward man. You look on the outward, meaning that we need God to see the inward man. We will never see it with our own eyes because he crowned the king 5 times wrong. Like he was just like, oh, this is him. Oh, nope. Okay, this is him. Because we don't have enough wisdom by ourselves. And then he's like, no, he's over there. And he's like, really? This one? And that's exactly how we pick spouses too. Really, that one, God? But these other ones I thought was really good. They looked good. They got the job. That's not what I said you needed though. What I needed for you was over there. Someone who didn't initially make the room go, but will keep you. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's why we have to pray.
So that is why I shared this with you again. And feel free to share this with your loved ones. Because again, my experience is as a woman. But we know men deal with it too.
Oh, for sure.
Men deal with it too, that a woman will call and say that you did something that you didn't.
And that makes
So,
so
but
worse.
but again, men, how many of you had saw the red flags and ignored them? Yeah. So we've saw, so again, this is a cautionary tale, and I'm sharing this. So if you see someone and you find yourself in a similar situation, trust yourself, ask for discernment. Let me see, is Truth Teller still in here? Because if
What?
he's in here, he's had some. I asked him to come.
Oh no, I'm just asking. Like, what was he coming to join the thing or something, or what?
Yeah, if he's still in here, I'm gonna put the link in the chat in a minute. But if he's here, okay. So before I put the link in the chat, I want to share what he wrote. Okay, so
Ooh,
I
I can't
did
see none of
this.
that.
Well, I'm gonna read it. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I did a response to Kevin Samuels, and it was basically, are modern mothers failing their daughters?
Oh,
And
that one. Yeah.
then Truth Teller writes, why is it basically he was talking about, the problem is the ones who want to get it right, you can't check your moms. So I said in the video, I'm like, yes, conversations with mothers are necessary. And like, I've had a conversation with my mom about the things she did, the choices she made, how it affected me. And you've talked with me about the things that I did raising you that affected you, even though I thought I was doing the right thing, but I dropped the ball. So he writes, why is it so difficult for women to just ask a man what he wants in a wife and just do what he says? This
Mm-hmm.
indigenous ineptitude is starting to get irritating. So I
Business
write,
ineptitude. Okay,
yeah.
that's
He
good.
writes, no, I write, I said, you really don't want to have this conversation. And it's obvious you haven't watched my videos because I'm all about accountability, including sharing my own mistakes, but I will not disrespect the person who was there. By the way, what kind of discernment did you have between the ages of 17 and 19? The ages my mother was when she had me, got married, and then had my sister. I said, take that crap somewhere else. He
Okay.
he writes, if not wanting to hear an unproductive conversation that sidesteps the obvious solution and accountability for errors made is wrong, then I'm dead wrong. 18 or 19, the woman was still an adult and received rights of adults because they were. And then he writes, any errors made based on ignorance doesn't get a pass. Mistakes are part of life, and accountability ensures we learn from them. Making excuses for why the mistakes was made does help you learn from them or be accountable. And everyone should be checked for their mistakes. And I said, thank you for your feedback. We're done here. And he said, I know. So I wanted him to call in because
Why?
so I want to hear his point of view as to why, because again, I think what I was talking about was accountability. My mom, in having the conversations with accepting the things she did wrong, me too, accepting the things I did wrong. But also, he asked, why don't women ask men what they want in wives? Well, I will submit to you,
I
back in,
did.
well, that's what I'm saying. You did. But back in the day, when I was coming up and I talked about
You
when
know
I
I
would
can't see your
ask,
face, right?
oh, sorry. Well, I would talk when I was your age and I was dating, I would ask men, "What are you looking for?" Because that's
Mm-hmm.
the only natural thing, because you want to try to be that. And I would ask them and they would say, someone that's strong, someone that's this, someone's independent. And so I tried to be that. But the difference is, me and Bolo were talking about that what a man sees as strong and what a woman sees as strong are two different things. And
Yes.
particularly depending on how you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
If a man grew up, like for instance, Lawrence, he grew up in a 2-parent household. Well, his strength of seeing a woman was his mother taking care of the house, taking care of the family, cooking, cleaning, holding his father up. But
Mm-hmm.
me, what I saw as strong is something because my father wasn't there. So I saw mother doing everything. So the
Mm-hmm.
man that may have been saying that he wanted a woman that was strong, we were saying the same things, but our understanding of it was two different things. So I asked Truth Teller to come up
Okay.
and discuss, to give his perspective, because again, I'm all about accountability. But even with accountability, I'm not going to disrespect my mother.
Oh, I will say this, Mom, because I know you. Are
Yes.
you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
I need you to not entertain something if you do not agree with it.
Okay.
Mind the business that pays you. I
Okay.
need that to be like your mantra. Mind the business that pays you. Because,
Okay.
like you said, if people have different upbringings, they have different outlooks. So it may not mean his perspective is wrong. I probably won't disagree with it. But at the end of the day, whether he's married or not will change his perspective. Whether he's been divorced or not changes his perspective on women. So take that into consideration, okay? Because I ain't got
Mm-hmm.
time to be a referee between two grown people.
Oh no, we're
I ain't
not
got
doing that.
time.
I don't do that. I'm not doing. I'm going to bring up Truth Teller, and then I'm going to bring up Bolo. So Truth Teller, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on.
He is muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you asking me to come on the show. And I appreciate the story you just told and what your experience was. So thank you.
Thank you. So talk to me about. Oh, you
That's
okay?
me. I'm outside. It's the wind. Hold on.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
Oh,
find just go somewhere where it's a little less windy. Oh.
Okay.
But no, please. What were you asking?
No, I wanted to just kind of, because I heard you on Courtney's show, I believe, and then also that's what made me reach out to you when I went back and looked at your comments, and I wanted to discuss your point of view, because I think maybe you're misunderstanding me, because I'm definitely about accountability, and that's why I share my life, the things that I did wrong along the way, because I want women to learn from that. I want women to learn from that as it relates to relationships. I want them to learn from that as it relates to being a mother and what you're teaching your daughter, because I thought I was teaching her the right stuff, but I wasn't.
That's understandable. I think the core of the issue that I have is what women, and I'm going to generally speak, not just specifically you, what women understand accountability to be
Okay.
versus what you guys are saying it is. I listened to the story. There's a ton of things I have issues with as far as that gentleman. I
Okay.
have two sons. I have two sons. That is not how I raised my sons.
Right.
So men, I do agree. I do agree. Men like that take the title of trash. They do exist. We kind of have to move around them a bit. But what I had a problem with when you guys are saying you're taking accountability is the fact that the accountability is you saying, I accepted what was happening to me, and that's my fault. I didn't hear any discussion about what I did in this situation that was my fault. And let me clarify that just to be more specific. Towards the end of the story, when you and the gentleman were going in and out, he made a comment to you saying you were laughing at him in front of your mother in, some obsequious conversation that you guys were having in the past, months before. So if your mother made a degrading comment about him and you found it funny, are you going to take it and you laughed while he was present? It's literally targeting his masculinity. That's 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 taking it away from him. Do you hold yourself accountable for that? And that kind of went over very quickly in the story. There was really no touch on that. There are things women do but also contribute to the escalation of the situation. We talk about police de-escalating, de-escalating. But women have their own ways of escalating, then saying, hey, I'm a woman, what are you doing? And I get it. I wasn't raised by a single mother. I had both my parents, both my grandparents. I was taught you protect the woman is softer. It doesn't matter what she does to you, walk away, step out, don't argue, don't fight, let it go. But there's never any accountability about the transgressions women take against men. So when you guys talk about accountability, it's always, this was happening to me, but I let it happen. Or in part of your discussion, there was references to religion. The whole snake in the closet. Oh, that was God telling me it was wrong, but I didn't realize it. I'm not religious now. I went to religious school being young. My family's religious. That's just copping out on your choices, is how I see it. And my entire goal is to get to a solution. I don't want to dodge responsibility. I don't want to dodge accountability. Your choices contributed to the situation you're in. Take accountability for those choices, not the choices of somebody else to you. And then move forward on how to fix it. And that's why I was telling you before about the whole pity party thing, because that's kind of what this felt like.
Well, it's regrettable that you feel that way, but I understand your point of view. And I'm not sure when you came in to the discussion, but one of the things I said throughout is that there were signs that I ignored. And I chose to continue dealing with him when the signs were there. So that is, maybe the language. And again, I'm not gonna.
That's not what he's talking about.
What is he talking about?
I'm not talking about that.
He's talking about what his example was a good example. He was saying, again, let's take the factor of what you were doing. Let's say M wasn't a horrible individual, right? Let's say he was actually a decent human being. But if your family member makes a degrading comment, like let's say he's a good man, but he's in between jobs right now, right? You do the improper thing of informing your family of that. So then your family then makes a joke, haha, yeah, he ain't got no job anyway. That then targets his masculinity and he feels lesser than, because a man's job is to provide and protect. So if you then put a jab at his masculinity, if he is not emotionally centered in the moment, he then becomes offended because you laughed at his lack of masculinity, which then escalates the situation. So he's saying, why didn't you not take accountability for thinking that was funny? Because if he was a good quality man and in general and anybody, you wouldn't find it funny if someone did that to you. So that's what he is saying. Why didn't you take accountable for escalating the situation? It would have been different if you were literally just sitting there and he came over there and smacked you. Then that's some outlandish type foolishness. But if you were picking at him indirectly, is what he is saying, that's where you didn't take accountability in your part in the escalation. That's what he's trying to say. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I will receive that. I'm gonna bring Bolo up here too. I'll receive that, and I guess the reason, again, I have to keep in mind that you only know portions based on what I've shared with you. But in giving that, I understand what you're saying, but it wasn't like that. But I do understand how you can deduce that. And in this particular situation, it later seemed that, well, it's not important, but I receive what you're saying, and I think had it played out that way, I definitely would have been able to. I can agree with you, but that's not how it played. But
Well, sorry,
also,
hold on. When you say that's not how it played, it doesn't
well,
matter how it played. What I'm talking
no,
about is the transgression that you did in that particular situation.
and that's what I'm saying. I did not do a transgression. It was.
But you
I'll just give.
did.
No, I didn't.
Remember, it's the person that feels the slight that determines if it's a transgression or not you committing it.
So if I say hello,
And he feels that hello is a curse word and insulting, then you just insulted him.
okay,
Even
well
though
then
you weren't
I
trying. Even though you
okay,
weren't trying. So that's what I'm
okay.
saying.
Okay, I'll get that. I'll receive that. Okay, I'll receive that. Okay, I'll receive that. So even if it's
Correct.
unwittingly, and I still did it, I still did it. So I understand what you're talking about. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
And to the point about the snake, I see what you're saying there too. But I didn't, I didn't. To me, it wasn't. It was just a coincidence or a confirmation of the fact that I did not pay attention to what I should have paid attention to early on. So I let a lot. Essentially, I let a snake into my life. That's basically what. And when I saw the snake dried up, it was like, wow, I had a literal and figurative snake into my life
So sorry,
because,
my comments
huh?
weren't really towards what you said in that. It was actually probably more along the lines of how your daughter responded to it. That's all.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Bolo,
yeah. So that
what do you
wasn't
got?
me. Yeah, that wasn't me.
Bolo, what you got?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Trev,
Hey,
how you
Good.
doing?
how you doing, sir?
All right, all right. Again, the point that Trev was making was a very good point, right? The scripture says that if you offend somebody, to change the way you speak,
Mm-hmm.
even though what you might be saying may not be offensive to Danielle. You dig what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But if I'm speaking to that person and they find it offensive, kind of, move the words around.
Mm-hmm.
So often life is meant to be lived forward but understood backward. And
Yes.
what that means is so often when we're going through something, we usually don't get the understanding of what we were going through until usually we get out of it, right? Because once we're in shit, everything smells like shit. This is the importance of the village, like
Yes,
Danielle
indeed.
was saying, right? The importance of the village is to say, yo, something don't seem right. This don't seem right. Now, when you have that love factor around you, that truth may hurt, but you know that these people or person is coming from love. So you're apt to hear them quicker than someone that you don't know. A lot of the times, quietness can be so loud. It can be so loud. And you often find out that people connect in these relationships through trauma. Their trauma is what connects them, their hurt is what connects them, right? And they build a relationship off of that, not knowing. They're both lonely, they're both hurt. One is hurt one way, one is hurt the other. And that cliche that they say misery does love company.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be alone. I did a show and it was a guy that was thinking about committing suicide and he went on Facebook and found so many people that felt the same way as he. And he said, it felt so good to know that I wasn't alone. And that you have to take pause and think about that. So when you're hurt, you want to be around somebody, but someone that's positive don't want to be around that negative vibe.
Yep.
So what do? We gravitate towards people that are hurt. So um, the reason why he came at you the way he did was the lack of him feeling like a man. A lot of the times, we had this conversation behind the scenes. Masculinity is taught to be forceful.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't taught to be elegant. It isn't taught
Mm-hmm.
to be logistical. It isn't taught to be responsive. It's
Mm-hmm.
taught to be reactive.
Yes.
And that's the problem, right? So a man will sit there and say, I'm a man, grab you forcefully, throw you around, do all these things. Manhood, the masculinity that we have today, right, is like the Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
smash, right? It's not Professor Hulk, you know? When you
Exactly.
look at the difference between the two is the Green Hulk has all the power in the world. There is no limitations to his strength. Professor Hulk, which is gray, it's the best of both worlds. You have the intelligence and the logic, and you have the strength. But here's the
Yes.
thing his strength is not unlimited. He knows when to apply it and when not to. When we're talking about women, when you don't have that love that's in you and you're empty, and this goes for men too, but for the sake of this conversation, you search for it, you go looking for it. So when he was being who he was, you didn't know who you were. So you were trying to mold yourself into
Mm-hmm.
what you thought he wanted a
Mm-hmm.
woman to be. And that's the problem that we have, right? Like Danielle eloquently said. Before I'm a father, and before I'm a husband, I'm a man. So I need to be focused on the Most High, right? So when I'm focused on the Most High, before I even attempt to deal with the woman, I need to know how to love myself. So that's why the Most High tells you, love your brother like you love yourself. So once I learn what my integrity, character, my focus, my purpose, my intention is, now I know my worth. I can go out there and demand my value. Because if I don't know my worth, I don't know what my value is. So now once I know what my value is, there are standards that I'm going to have that I'm not going to go below.
Yes.
And this is the same thing with women. Once you know your worth, there are certain values and certain standards you're going to have. And so often in the home, we don't have these examples, right? Because
Yeah.
children learn from seeing and observing more than you telling them.
Yes.
So you're asking men who have never had a father to be something that they've never seen in real time. You're asking mothers or little girls to be something that they've hardly seen, right? Because when you separate the father from the home and she doesn't have that validation, that protection, that love, that understanding, you're taking a lot from that little girl. Because you have to understand, every little girl is going to measure, well, if they have a father, every man that they meet with that man that they see against their father. So when you take that away, they don't know what love is. So when something sounds like it, or there's a semblance of it, they run towards it. And this is what
Yes.
happens, ladies, when you separate fathers from their daughters. And what happens when you separate fathers from their sons? They don't know how to become a man because they haven't seen what a man looks like. It's more than just get up and go pay. It's about knowing how to understand things, knowing when to apply pressure and when not to.
Yes.
So that's all I want to say. And what I want to say too is, TJ, Auntie, straight up, never hold your head down, ma. Word. Never hold your head down. Because Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that the Lord takes us through things. He's bringing us through things so that he can mold us into who he wants us to be because he has a job for us to do. So he wanted you to have this testimony straight up, right? Through his mercy and grace, you made it through. But what you're doing right now is you're becoming that lighthouse on that beach and you're shining that light to all these boats. Listen, I fell victim and I'm taking accountability. The onus is on me to know what I did wrong. And I know that you little girls or young men or young ladies are going through this right now. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from my
Absolutely.
mistakes. And when you see it, exit stage left.
Absolutely. You have nothing to apologize for. You know, me being with you in the process, it was definitely difficult. It's definitely something I don't ever want to have to deal with again with being on side with you. But I'm just thankful you're still here. I'm thankful you're still alive. And you have nothing to apologize for to anyone. You have to realize I'm a someone because I come into a level of wisdom. I give grace more than I give judgment. I give grace more than I give, pointing the finger at somebody for what they didn't do or didn't say or why didn't you do this. At the end of the day, are you breathing? Are you alive? And that's all that matters. You have time to correct and not repeat. You're muted, Ma, by the way.
And I thank God, because again, there was a lesson. And then, and the truth of the matter is, Bolo, can you go mute for a second, hon?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. The truth of the matter is, I didn't realize how broken I was. And see, the truth of the matter is, I say that again, by focusing on somebody else, like that person, I didn't, it was an escape from me focusing on me. Because again, I wasn't completely whole and didn't know that I wasn't whole. So by going through that, thinking about why do I keep picking these people, is because there was a missing piece in me. So somehow if I was picking projects by basically. And so feeling that if I could fix them, maybe I could fix me. But those are two separate things that needed to be dealt with. So because had I fixed me, I would have I would have never dated him.
Entertained.
So
Yeah.
at all. And so first of all, and thank you, Truth Teller, for coming on to to clarify. And again, that's another reason why I kind of hate this texting, typing stuff, because you don't know the tenor and tone and
Well, even regardless with this YouTube thing, Ma, which is what I told you about, you have to remember everyone has their own view. Everyone has their own perspective based off their own intelligence and wisdom that they've gained through their life. So it's like, example, like a teenager. You can't tell a teenager nothing because they think in their 16, 17 years of life, they have figured out life. Meanwhile, I'm a decade ahead of them. And I know what life is like for you and what it's going to be. But you can't tell them until they go through it themselves, which is why I've been through enough. I mean, y'all don't know my full scope, and probably you don't know either, Ma. But I've been through enough in life to know I'm very slow to judge anybody. I may not agree. I may dislike, and I may separate from you because I don't agree. But that doesn't mean I'm not still here. It doesn't mean I still don't love you. It's that I know you have a testimony that's being formed right now. And because it's painful for me to be a part of it, I step back, but I'm still here. I just can't be with it with you. I just have to be alongside you because this is something you have to go through in your own time and in your own way. And because I understand that, I'm just like, you alive, you breathing, cool. You learned, cool. And I just keep it there.
And it's a blessing. And I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, because again, and shout out to you, Truth Teller, and also Bolo, because I understand what you share. Both of you all have been married for many years, and that is a blessing. And I'm so grateful and appreciative that my daughter had, found a man that is truly worth having her. And I found a man that's worth having me. And I think had I been the same person and not done the necessary deep dive into me, I wouldn't have been ready for him and may have allowed him to pass me by.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can I add something?
absolutely.
Lucky said something that I wanted to address. Lucky, I stand corrected. Thank you, darling. There are men that do leave their home. You
Oh, I
are
saw the comment. Yes.
100% correct. So I didn't want to make it look like it's just a one-sided thing, because the one thing that I tend to be is an equal opportunist shooter. I shoot at both. So I stand corrected. Thank you for the correction, sis. That's all.
Truth Teller, you had something?
I do have one thing to say, and
Okay.
this might kind of blow up the direction we're in right now.
Okay.
So for the last 5 or 10 minutes of this conversation has literally been a pity party. And when I said earlier, when I came on saying, honestly, I don't think any of us have a complete understanding of what accountability is. And accountability is multi-levels, right? Accountability is acknowledging the problem,
Mm-hmm.
taking responsibility for the problem, doing the work to fix the problem, and then paying the debt for the problem. And I hear a lot of people
for the problem.
paying
Can
the
you
debt
clarify?
for the problem.
Can you clarify
So
what you mean by paying debt to something?
if you were a woman that spent your life because you were misled growing up, abusing men in some way, shape, or form, sexually, financially, however, you come to realize, you know what, all that's a mistake. I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pay the debt that you caused?
Oh, he's not. Okay. I forgot you're not religious. Okay.
No.
That explains a lot of your thinking.
Although I quite
Okay.
understand it, that's the reason why I
Okay.
don't think that way. It shades things very, very easily.
I see. Then you're fine. You're the way you think. No issue with it. It's just not something that I don't think that way because I believe in God.
Right,
All
but
debt
there's
has
still
been
a
paid.
debt. There's a
So
debt
I
you have.
can't really
Wait.
comment on that way of thinking, really,
What do you
because
mean
I don't
all
know.
debt? How do you mean all debt's been paid when you
Because I'm a
ask for forgiveness?
Christian, I
Right.
believe that we all sin. I believe that we all fail, and that there are no amount of good works that we could ever do to abide or fulfill that debt, which is why Jesus died on the cross for us to cover our sins.
Do you
That's what
realize
I
that
believe.
debt is your debt? meaning your
Mhm.
personal debt to yourself, not the personal debt you owe to the people outside of you.
Sure.
I went to Catholic school. I was raised religious. I'm quite aware of the
Okay.
religious beliefs behind that. But what I'm saying is your belief that you ask for forgiveness for
Mhm.
yourself. Don't ask for forgiveness. You don't go to other people and ask for, well, you do.
I
Some
do.
say yes, some say no.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is there's a debt to be paid to the others. You're asking for
Sure.
how you feel about yourself, that debt to be paid. Hey, I did wrong. Please forgive me. Awesome. But you still do owe those people for the transgressions you caused.
So you
You
mean
can't say,
restitution?
oh, restitution in some fashion or form. And I'm not talking
Mm.
about money. So a lot of people might say, yeah, you find it. No, I'm not talking about that. Could be emotional, could be educational, could be financial, it could be appreciation, it could be a ton of things. But we never talk about the debt that needs to be paid. We always want to
Mm.
just forget about that and say, hey, I can move forward because I got forgiveness for myself. That's
Oh,
selfish and that's not
okay.
accountability.
Sure.
Okay, I need to. Okay, given the example that I was talking about
Yes.
with me, what kind of debt would you suggest that I have paid?
Or
I
that
think
that you need to
you're,
pay currently.
or that
I'm
you
just
need to
asking.
pay. I think you're actually paying it now. Sharing these stories, taking into account what you did, maybe giving some instructions on how to avoid, giving instructions on getting therapy. Like my comment to you saying, when women, and you mentioned this a little while ago, when I've made the comment saying, why don't women just ask a man what he wants in a wife? And you restated it as, why not just, I ask a man what he wants in a woman. That's two very, very different things. The conversation when you first meet and get together with somebody and you ask them, what do you want in a wife versus what do you want in a woman, you're going to get two completely different answers from them. They're two different things to us. So being more specific in what you want from a man and understanding what he wants in the role you want to be is probably the debt that needs to be paid there. Teaching that, making sure that ladies understand that. And a ton of other things that you've probably helped your daughter with, understanding how to treat a person. I do have to say, I definitely like this channel. I do watch you guys, by the way, I am subscribed, but there's a lot of masculinity in a bunch of your conversations.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
even
didn't
in
know I
this
was masculine.
conversation.
Huh?
Well, there were a couple of references where you were saying, when you reference your mom, my mother doesn't take that kind of stuff. She doesn't talk that way, kind of
Mm-mm.
thing. And
She
I'm thinking to
doesn't.
myself, no, I understand, but then that means she's masculine normally.
No, that's not what that means. That's what you read into.
Well, no,
Um,
no, no. That's what that means. You said she would. She doesn't talk like that to people. She'll jump on them. What does that mean? What
so
woman getting into a man verbally is not masculine?
so I guess again, people take masculinity and kind of make it toxic. But
I
what it
didn't say
means
toxic. No,
is
no, no. I
that
don't. I don't think
she's
masculinity can be toxic.
aggressive. That does that mean that she has standards? Yes. When I think they went, well, men, some I guess this new version of men, they think anytime a woman talks back that they're masculine.
That's not what I was
And
saying. Yeah,
when
that's not what
she's
I was
like
saying.
this, I'm saying that she doesn't allow certain ways to be talked to, and I don't. And I'm very feminine, but I do not allow you to just talk to me any kind of way. I
But
have
how do you
standards.
respond? Right. But
I
how do you
have,
respond to that?
how do I respond to what? When someone talks to me some kind of way, I
Let's say,
shut it
yeah.
down.
If a man is talking to you some kind of way, how do you respond to that?
I shut it down. You do not
What
talk
does
to me
that mean?
like that.
Right? What does that mean? You stop talking and walk away, or do you
No.
let them? Okay, well, then please help me understand what shut it down means. Because then
So
that
shut
sounds
it
like
down means
you'd have to
I
emasculate the
assert
man to
my
do that,
position. I
right?
assert my position and letting you
Dominant
know
or
who you are not going to
non-dominant?
talk to. And
Okay.
again, see, I'm trying to talk
I'm sorry. I'm
turf,
just asking for
but you
clarification.
won't
I'm
let me
listening
finish
though.
your
I'm
sentence.
listening though. I'm
So
listening.
listening
Okay.
is
What
means
I
you
want
sit and talk.
what I want to say is one person talk at a time because I believe
Exactly.
Sorry,
I do
that's my
believe in
fault.
order.
That's my fault. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I
I
let you
believe.
talk. I respected your position the entire time you were talking.
Yes.
So, out of respect, you do not interrupt when I speak. That is a respect thing. Whether I am a woman or a man, you let one person speak, you let them finish their thought, and then you let the next person speak and finish their thought. That's just a mutual respect. I gave you that respect. I would appreciate if you gave me the same respect as well. So, like I was saying, is that whenever I am speaking to someone who is disrespectful, because I deal in customer service, I have people who talk to me mean all the time. I'm able to assert myself and say professional and let them know what we're not going to do. I've had someone try to cuss me out before. I'm like, oh, okay, no, 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 no. I understand your frustration, sir or ma'am, but I'm here to help you. So what I need is we stay on a professional tone and that we get to the bottom of the situation. I am on your side, but I will not tolerate being yelled at or disrespected in any way. That's what I said. I was not disrespecting my masculinity or all that other bull crap you talking about. I was saying my point in an assertive tone, but still very much who I am. Now, if your definition, if that makes me masculine, I'll be that. I don't know you. You don't know me, and I probably will never see you in real life. It doesn't really matter to me what you think about me. But what I do know about myself is I am not someone who just takes anything from anybody. I can be assertive without being this quote unquote masculine that the narrative is now. You can be very much in tune with yourself and respect and be all the way feminine. It doesn't mean that because I am assertive or quote unquote aggressive, that I now become masculine. Because everything that I'm saying right now is me asserting my position, asserting my point, but very much not being disrespectful and being overly toxic or overly doing any of this type of thing. So all of that you're talking about my mom being super masculine, she does have a dominant, loud, projecting voice. So I can see where you get that's more masculine, but that's just the way that she speaks. Just like this is the way that I speak. And because I know my mother is someone who is more assertive in her tone, when she's speaking like this, and oh, yes, dear, and it's not a genuine place, it's from a place of fear, that's when I know she is not who I know her to be because my mother does not tolerate disrespect from anyone. And by not tolerating it doesn't mean she's out here berating them and demasculating them. That's not what I'm saying. But she does correct them and let them understand what position she is taking on the situation in all utmost respect. So I hope that clarifies what I was trying to say.
Ready? Two things.
Say,
Aggression.
say again.
Can
Say
you hear
that
me?
you were breaking up. Can you say it again, please?
Sorry. Aggression is a masculine trait, just so you know. Being
Okay.
assertive, I completely understand being assertive. I also worked in customer service many moons ago, but I did. Being assertive is also a masculine trait. You gave a professional example. I understand. In that professional example, masculine feminine scale does not compute because that's not part of the role. What would have been a better example is if you're on a second date with a gentleman and he says something tomfoolery to you that you find disrespectful, what would your response be? And it probably won't be the professional one we just heard.
Actually,
What
it
I was,
would.
hold
But go
on,
ahead.
hold on. So what I was asking about a dominant and submissive role, masculine and feminine, in a discussion. Well, first, also, I don't think your mother is masculine herself. At least the videos that I've watched and that I've enjoyed. I didn't get that from her, but just getting from what you stated about her in the past and how she would react normally versus how she was acting in that particular situation. That's what the definition of what masculinity is. That's what you were saying. She's normally more masculine versus how you read it to be more, well, in this case, it would be more submissive. You called it timid and fearful, which leads me to believe that you may need to research your understanding of what feminism really is, or being feminine is.
Do you know what the
What I'm,
definition of feminism is? But I was just asking because have you looked it up?
yes, my own words, accommodating, supportive. Uh, there's a couple of other words they use for it. But in any case, the
Okay.
fact that it sounded timid to you and not as aggressive or direct as normal would be masculine. So that's where I got that from. Not
I
just
see.
that I was thinking about knowing a person. Just based on what you said. The other
Okay.
part of it is I do completely understand a woman having to hold her standards. I also have a daughter, by the way, guys. I have a 16-year-old daughter. So I completely understand, um, some of the trials and tribulations that women face. But bottom line of it is accountability is not just acknowledging you have a problem. It's fixing it. And if you are past the point where you can fix it for yourself, when I say past the point, I don't necessarily mean age. You might be married and you realize some of this stuff, but you don't do it in your marriage. Awesome. That, you're not practicing those things. But there were a number of men that you had relationships with up until that point. The debt to be paid can be, tutoring young ladies. Talking with your friends about their daughters, talking with your friends about their sons. Again, I see some of the boys out here. I get on the boys too. So you'll hear me in the chats. I make this comment a lot. I refer to when men get really emotional in their conversation and talk and all that good stuff. I say that they're single mother raised, right? It's not true. It's not true by any means. I get passionate in my conversations too. But I use it as a slight because I want people to think about what that means. 70% of our children are raised by single mothers. 18 to 20% of our men are the fathers. That's a serious issue that needs to be taken into account. I don't hear women talking about that at all on any channel. That's somewhere where we're about why the 18% of men plus another 15% of white and Hispanic men are the fathers of these children of these single mothers, yet black men get blamed for not fathering their children. So women can talk about that more and say, hey, sis, what are you guys doing out here? Why is this happening? Why is this the case? Because first off, if you guys say that, you're going to get trashed. That's the first thing. The first thing's going to happen is you're going to get trashed. But you might have a few that might say, you know what, he's right. Or let's take a look at this and see what the real truth is. Because, you may not believe what the numbers are saying. Let's take a look. Our boys are reading at a 4th grade reading level, but our girls aren't. So we're saying the ratchets are the only ones having sons? It's kind of crazy. They don't have fathers in their homes. Why is that? These are choices of women.
Yes.
What I do appreciate women acknowledging their role, but how are you going to fix it?
Well, I think part of fixing it is like what me and Danielle are doing now. And again, sharing that, and again, sharing about, I was reckless and irresponsible when I got pregnant with her, but I learned from it because I didn't do it again. So it's about having these kind of conversations and sharing and spreading the word, because again, it is senseless, and it's not a badge of honor to be a single mother. It's not a badge of honor to have children out of wedlock. So that's definitely how we do it. I am going to have to wrap it up because Danielle has given us 15 minutes over her regular time.
Yes, indeed. Of course, no problem. Well, I gotta get.
Truth teller, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it, and thank you for the dialogue. Bolo, thank you for the dialogue too. I'm going to drop you two, and Uncle Locke is waiting, so I'm going to bring him up really quick before we close it out.
All right, Danielle, have a blessed day, and
bye.
Have a blessed.
See you.
You too. Uncle Locke,
you're muted. If you.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine. How are you?
I'm all gravy. How about yourself?
All good here. What you got?
Yeah, I would like to say something in reference to the masculinity comment. In both females and males, there exists. We both have the testosterone and estrogen. It's just that in males, testosterone that's the home. That's our base. Versus females, estrogen is the base. So and to basically go to really address what was previously stated, a female under under hostile situations by the laws of self-preservation has the right to engage in self-defense if they're being violated.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's appropriate for her to be masculine when she has to survive or
Exactly.
defend herself. So it just like it makes no sense if you have to assert yourself among individuals who are being disrespectful to you. I mean, that's nature that you have to do what you have to do. Now
Exactly.
so it's just like, I mean, that's basically, I ain't simping or caping and nothing. It's just nature. Like, why would
Well, I
you
mean,
expect,
yeah.
like, just like the individual you dealt with? I mean, I wouldn't consider him no man at all by any measure of a man. I would be nice and say he was less than a man, but I would never call him no man because there's certain confines. Like, even for me, coming from the environment that made me, I spent until I had me a daughter. She challenged me to have balanced masculinity. All I had was raw masculinity. You know, the type of masculinity, life imprisonment or death was imminent.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
she challenged me because I wanted to be a father because I didn't have no father. I didn't really have no parents, technically, raised by
Okay.
my grandparents, but she challenged me to be masculine. I'm like, damn, I can't do nothing stupid to go to jail and miss her life.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So a lot of things, yeah, she challenged me, and a lot of times I say, "Man, this little girl made me into a bitch," but but I say that, but I say it jokingly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess that's how men talk.
Well, no,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
true. It's 100% true because
She
I
brought
don't
the
like,
softer side of you. That's what that
because that's
is.
why I don't like the whole submissive and aggressive thing, because I think submissiveness gets misunderstood by too many people. Submissive
Yeah,
doesn't mean soft. That's not what that
yeah.
means. Submissive
From my
doesn't
understanding,
mean you don't have a voice and that you don't have an opinion and you don't assert
yeah,
yourself. Submissive means I am all leader, but I
yeah,
submit under your authority, which means I lead outside of your authority. So if I'm
yeah,
a, lieutenant, that means there's people underneath me that I lead, aka my
yes,
children, which means I correct my children. They are my subordinate. But I
yeah,
do not go over the authority because I have a captain. That doesn't mean
yes,
I'm not assertive, and that doesn't mean that I don't have an aggressiveness, because you have to be a little aggressive with your kids because they freaking will run all
yes,
over you.
yes, yes.
But
Yeah,
that doesn't make
kids very
me
playful with their mothers. I'm
exactly.
sorry.
But that doesn't make me, now I'm so submissive. So let me just tell my baby, oh no, baby, no. You say sit down somewhere. That's being assertive. That doesn't mean I'm masculine now because I told my kids to sit down somewhere. It means I am asserting my authority as the mother to sit down somewhere. And that
I
doesn't
mean,
make me masculine because I do that. And that's why, in my opinion, again, I'm a millennial, so we think a little different than the older generation. I'm aware.
yeah.
But I believe there's a toxicness in this whole submissive versus masculine dynamic that's becoming, because now women can't be strong all of a sudden. But then y'all want us to maintain jobs where we have to be strong. So what do you want
I,
then?
I,
You want a wife that doesn't say anything, but then you want my opinion. Pick one. You can't have it
I,
both
I,
ways.
Go
I
ahead.
believe that the simple fact that a lot of us millennials were raised by our mothers. Me. I was influenced. Like, my mom did make an effort to be in my life, but she taught me a lot of survival techniques. But
Okay.
what I want to say, what I want to say about it is, if I don't the brand of masculinity that I'm seeing, I question it, because masculinity is not that sensitive that you will have to need you a yes person or a step and fetch individual to be by you. I don't think
Exactly.
masculine. I never understood. I can't comprehend masculinity being that sensitive.
It's
I'm
not.
sorry.
It's
I mean,
not.
I think that the journey of being a man, you have to make it through fire to be even considered a man. You know,
Mhm.
you have to make it under pressure to be considered a man. And it's just like if you ain't never make it through that trial, you ain't gonna understand. So I think that a lot of individuals, they gonna really have to do some etymology and study the words that they're using, because a lot of times they don't understand that, like, a lot of these words don't apply to them. If you that
Right.
delicate and insecure, then like prime example, traditionally, boys are taught to not embrace their insecurities, but make sure you're strong enough to get over them.
Yes.
And a lot of boys, especially if you didn't have no masculine energy, unfortunately, I had to learn how to be masculine on the streets.
Mm.
Because my grandfather, even though he was a working man, he was a kind of simp to my grandma.
Okay.
He would never hold her accountable. He just do whatever
Mhm.
she said.
Mm,
But they
I
was
see.
together for 45 years till he died.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
Yeah,
yeah. But that's all I had to say. I don't want to hold y'all up too much.
you're
Well, thank
fine.
you so much for calling in, Uncle Locke, and I appreciate your support and feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem. Y'all have a lovely day.
You
You too.
too.
Bye bye. Okay, so we're about to wrap it up, and thank you so much, Danielle, for staying with us. And to
Oh
that
yeah.
point, I have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful husband that, because I did the work, I was able to see him and discern that he was a wonderful person, a wonderful man. Um, I am a cert, but to Truth Teller's point, when we first started dating, I think that wasn't first started dating. But we had been dating, and I think there was something that I did that frustrated him. And my husband is like this. I mean, but it's something and he doesn't yell, he doesn't curse, doesn't none of that. But if something happened that he raised his voice slightly, and I said, and again, here's the thing: I don't like loud raised voices and cursing, because growing up, again, you're a product of your environment. When people start raising and yelling and cursing, usually that means somebody's about to start fighting in my family. In my family. So, I have I'm very sensitive to the yelling and cursing, because that's just not how I roll. So he raised his voice, and I said, listen, don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to me like that. If you have something, definitely talk, but don't yell at me.
Hmm.
And we ain't had an issue.
But
He let
again,
me he
I
lets
knew
me
what I
know
was
when
getting
he
into with that
right.
when you brought him on, because I could tell based off the comments that he makes, he's someone that's more like that. And again, if that's how your household runs, I have no quarrel with you. I said, but the thing that I have an issue with sometimes with people with that idea is that they think that the way that their household runs sometimes is the right way. And there's no technical only right way. My marriage and what works in my house may not work for somebody else. That doesn't mean that I'm now more masculine because that's not how you view a wife being submissive. That's just your view. And you have every right to feel that way. I'm not one to tell you your perspective is wrong, but you can't
Right.
devalue mine because it's different than yours. And that's where my point was that I wanted to make sure to stay on to clarify that, because it's like, if that's his wife's dynamic and she's submissive and she doesn't say much and you do the correcting and she's just there to do everything else, and that works, God bless you. That's great. But in my house, my husband knows I am an assertive, most like, I guess, boss chick, whatever that is, but I handle business. But at the end of the day, my husband's authority trumps mine. So if there's something I have an idea that I'm taking care of and he doesn't agree with, okay, I have my opinion, give my 2 cents, and I walk away. But that doesn't mean I'm not masculine because I go into a let's have a discussion about this kind of conversation. It just means that I have an opinion and I have a voice and I have every right to have one in my marriage. That doesn't make me a man because I have one. But at the end of the day, that's just what I've learned with people, especially when it comes to dating nowadays. Everyone thinks that their way is the only right way, and that's fine. But I don't have no issue with it. It's who I am, and I'm who I'm proud to be. If that makes me masculine, shoot, I guess I'll be taking over the top chairs and CEOs because all the masculine people over there too. Because I almost definitely bet they ain't submissive over there, or as he votes, submissive. They're aggressive and
You
assert
see Uncle
themselves.
Locke? See what Uncle Locke said?
Exactly. I'm no punk. Okay. I have an opinion. I say what I need to say. I am professional and I am respectful because I value people's thoughts. I don't demean them, but I do not talk over them. And I do not belittle them because I have a difference of opinion. And that's where my maturity comes in, is I just can disagree, but I still let you say your point. And I think that's important for everyone to do.
And to your point, again, I am who I am, and but again, I was not myself, but I, but didn't see it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because you're still yourself.
I am right now.
Yeah,
complete with my husband, and he lets and again, that's what I really wanted. I really wanted a man that allowed me to be me. But again, to your point, I submit to his authority. My daughter teases me about when I, get sporadic or impulsive and want to spend money like crazy. I'm Terry Jones, but being Terry Randolph, I'm under submission to Mr. Randolph. So I get it under control.
And that's what I mean by, like, when she was with that other person, that wasn't submission. That was fear. That was intimidation. My mom is submissive to Lawrence, but she is still 100% herself. She's still opinionated. She still will, when I say check, she will still correct a situation. But at the end of the day, when she comes home, she's Miss Randolph. She still has her opinions. She's still not going to be some mute chick and just be like, oh, whatever you say. But she doesn't do it from a place of, I have to be territorial. She has her opinion and then she walks away from it. And that's how it works. And if that's what works in her house and they have a flourishing marriage and that's what they have, more power to them, man. I ain't got no beef with it,
So to that point, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Danielle, because it's time for me to get in the kitchen and cook my dinner for my husband's about to come home.
I got to make meals for the week.
So thank you all so much for joining us. And again, if you like this video, please like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, there's information in the description about how to support the channel if you choose to do so. Share this content so we can grow. And again, to Truth Teller's point, so I can pay the debt by pouring into other women so they don't make the mistakes that I made. So they see the red flags and listen to them, and that they listen to the loved ones that are saying, hey, you're not getting what you're missing the mark here.
Absolutely.
So thank you, everyone. Y'all have a wonderful and safe weekend. Take care.